to Exodus chapter 3. The title of my short charge for you is Great Faith. Being open with you guys, something that I really wanted to study out for myself before we got into the semester was having great faith. What does it look like to actually exhibit great faith and actually practice great faith?
Come on, man.
Because I think for myself, looking back past my discipleship, being on campus and stuff, I can't really say that I've exemplified like to have amazing faith.
Right.
Like what does that actually look like? So I decided to study out this little portion in Exodus 3. Let's pick it up here in verse 7. What we're going to pick it up at is Moses is being called by God through the burning bush. Exodus chapter 3, verse 7, pick it up here. The Lord said, I have indeed seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I have heard them crying out because of their slave drivers, and I am concerned about their suffering. So I have come down to rescue them from the hand of the Egyptians and to bring them up out of the land into a good and spacious land. A land flowing with milk and honey, the home of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. And now the cry of the Israelites has reached me, and I have seen the way the Egyptians are oppressing them. So now go. I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt. But Moses said to God, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt? And God said, I will be with you. And this will be the sign to you that it is I who have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you will worship God on this mountain. What's the encouraging thing about this passage is that there's actually 2 times God affirms Moses' calling. He affirms him once when he says, I've chosen you to go rescue my people. Now, I took that even for myself, just saying, according to Matthew 28, where he says, go make disciples. He's already chosen us to go do the work of a disciple. Signify that we've already won. But if you pick it up, he confirms him a second time. He says, when you've come out of Egypt, that will be confirmation that I have actually chosen you. So at times, I believe God puts us through difficult situations to test us. But us going through the difficult situations and overcoming them, that's God affirming us. See, when we go into the semester, and I saw for myself that even after the campaign, the first 2 weeks were awesome, but after that I could feel Satan trying to creep into my heart to try to lose momentum and to try to discourage me. But I saw that we're not going to see the results immediately, but it's going to be after. When we get back here at the last campus Devo of the semester, when we worship God here on this mountain, that's when he's going to affirm that we've been called to evangelize you. We have to have the vision that God is going to do great, incredible things, but he's not going to show it to us until the very end. Not until the very end. We can't give up immediately. And what he does with Moses is he even tells him, hey, I'm going to harden Pharaoh's heart. I'm going to do all these things, and you're going to perform all these miracles. And even when he tells him that I'm going to harden his heart, Moses still gets discouraged. See, God doesn't promise that it's going to be easy for us to evangelize you, to evangelize the whole state of Utah, but he promises that we are going to do it. That as long as we persevere in him, we will evangelize Utah. I believe the challenge I even took for myself, really studying out what it means to have great faith, is to go after things that scare us. What are things that are hindering our faith, or really just hindering us in our evangelism, in our growing closer with God? What are things in our relationship with God that are scaring us? We actually have to pursue those things, overcome those things, and that's what it looks like to have great faith.
So, shortly after I got baptized, there was a preach-off, and so I kind of been planning for this. So I have my most complete notes here, designed for it. I'm gonna make an edited version of it for this thing. So the title of this thing is, and it doesn't entirely make sense, is whatever comes after the butt is BS. So at winter workshop, I can't remember exactly who preached what, but there was one of the sermonettes kind of like that got stuck in my head. Okay. And I have 3 charges here, and I may swap the order, but so the first one is embrace your destiny. Okay. And for this one, go to Luke 9.
I'm there.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Luke 9:23. And when I can click on this thing, for whoever wants to whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me will save it. What good is it for someone to gain the whole world and yet lose or forfeit their very self? Come on, bro. And I remember doing the sermonette. I believe that was one of the verses that we had in one of the sermonettes, and I kept imagining an audiobook that I was reading at the time, which is the Wheel of Time series. The main character is a guy named Rand al'Thor, really cool name. And during his story, he's basically a chosen one type character, and he's called to fight like this, horrible evil. And it's funny, like in the first 2 books, he's like constantly running from his destiny. And it's not really an option for him because every alternative is worse. And you see that in the kingdom because it's like, if we don't share our faith, if we don't go out and evangelize, and what we're going to wind up finding out is that the world won't change, nothing will change. Like we have to be the change that will change the world. And in relying on God, we will be able to do these things because God is God.
Come on.
And so I guess to tie it back to the original name for this, whatever comes after the BS, it's like, if you have a but, like, I would share my faith, but, like, it doesn't really matter. Like, you're not going to share your faith. If you are going to say, I don't know, if you're going to, like, stand up for something, like, again, if there's a but, you're never going to do it. And so you kind of have to. So for the next one, I have greater than or equals to. And I did it in the math, yes. And so for this one, I have Acts 4:29 to 32.
Let's go.
Wow.
All right, bro, I'm there.
Okay.
Come on, bro, I'm there.
Dang, this is not convenient.
Let's go, bro.
Fellow Israelites, I tell you confidently that the patriarch David died and was buried, and his tomb is here this day. But he was a prophet and knew that God had promised him on oath that he would place one of his descendants on the throne. And in this situation, it really doesn't, really my point is that, God is greater than everything.
Come on.
That all our struggles, all our stresses, all our pain. And the equal to comes in again from the winter workshop where it was preaching on boldness, and that was something that I don't even remember why I wanted to study that out in the Bible. And they said something that I thought was really cool. Our ideals should equal our standards, and the standards should be the Bible. And again, that caught my mind because, again, if y'all don't know this, I really like audiobooks. I like another audiobook called The Stormlight Archive. And in this world, there's a magic system, and it's all based on your ideals. And in the story, there's an emphasis on ideals, and it got me thinking about how so much of accomplishing any task really is dependent on your ideals. It doesn't matter if you're the strongest man on the planet. You can't lift anything if you don't think you can, so you never try. Okay. And so your ideals literally have to be built up and solidified. Otherwise, you won't try things. And when you have a standard, and I guess in this case, it was more of as a church group. Like our ideals and our standards, they have to be equal. That way we can train up the next set. And if the standard isn't the Bible, then are we Christians? Then we're not little Christ. We're not Christ-like. And so finally for my third one, I put it as know thy enemy. For this one is, you'll find it in Ecclesiastes 1. Fortunately, I put this one.
Where in Ecclesiastes?
1.
Ecclesiastes 1. I'm there.
1:4.
There, bro.
And in Ecclesiastes 1, chapter 4, it says, generations come and generations go, but the earth remains forever. And I thought this was important because we don't change. Like oftentimes people will say things like, oh, it's 2023, or you know, they'll name the time as if human beings have changed so much in any span of time. And if you really think about it, the only thing that really changed are the tools that we were using. Yeah. Like during the winter workshop, one of the things that I thought that popped in my mind and I thought was really important. Actually, this might have been shortly after. Yeah, this was one of Christian Sunday services.
Let's go, Christian.
So what I wrote down was that in year 1, you would probably use a sword. In year 1000, you'd use a pike. In year 2000, you'd use a rifle. You know, tools change, but the weapons are always going to be wielded by a human being. Yeah. And I thought that's important because, like, we have to know, like, you know, Sun Tzu, you have to know your enemy in order to fight and fight effectively. And so in this situation, it's like, we need to know that, hey, we're the same people that existed, you know, 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago. And that can mean a lot of things in a lot of situations. But I think in this one, what I'd like to end on is that, you know, Jesus' disciples, they were human too. Yeah. And like his, you know, first 12 disciples. And so when we're trying to emulate Jesus and the disciples, like, it is doable. We can be as effective. We can be as outspoken. We can be as determined in our faith. And that's the.
Hi everybody. Let's go. My title today will be Great Commission. So let's go to Matthew 28. 16 to 20. So, you guys there? You guys there? So, first of all, I want to say that we need to be like courage, and then we don't have to scare about a small number we are. Yeah. So. In this verse, we started by a small number of people. There was like 11 guys. Yeah. So let go. Ed. Matthew 28, 16. Then 11 disciples went to Galilee and to the mountain where God has told them to go. When they saw him, they worshiped him. So this is the first thing, like attitude they did when they saw him, they worship him. And then, but some doubt. Yeah. Some doubt. They worship him and some doubt. I will tell you something. There's like a few things that you need to do to remove in your vocabulary. It's going to be like a doubt. Doubt is a sin.
Come on, man. Come on.
So doubt is a sin. So as a Christian, we need to avoid about be doubting about some stuff. Everything you're doing, like a doubting. I will doubt to call this guy to share my faith. I will doubt to do this. Doubt is a sin. Just you need to forget about doubt. And then that is very bad. Second thing you need to think is about comparisons. Yeah, comparisons is a very, very also sin. compare like I need to compare myself with Eden or Juan. I need to compare myself with Richard.
Yep.
No, each people has his own situation, own problems.
Come on, bro.
Let's go. In 2018, then Jesus came to them and said, all authority in the heaven and the earth has been given to me. So we need to know that all authority, we can ask him everything. He got authority for everything. He got authority to heal you. He got authority to bless you. You just need to ask him, like we said in Matthew 7:7. You need to know how to knock, ask, and then he can open. So we need to be. He got authority to do everything. You see, if you have problems, just talk to him. And then 19, he said, therefore go and make disciples of all nations and baptize them in the name of the Father and in the Son and the Holy Spirit. This is, he said here is like a, therefore go and make disciples. It's like a command. It's like a command us to do. It's like a mission. Say that this is what you have to do is to go make a disciple.
Come on.
So we need to fulfill our command, follow God, and he said that we're going to baptize them by the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Because John Baptist, he was baptized people with water, but when God came, he was baptized with water and the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, come on.
And then and then he said, teach them to obey everything I have commanded you, and then surely I'm with you always to the very end of the earth. He said, teach them to obey. So you need to teach people. You need to teach your friends. If you think like a Christian is messed up, is doing something bad, bring it in. Say, hey, come Christian. This is no what is working. Hey, I want you to do this. So you need to teach people, and when you teach someone, you need to obey. So do you feel free to teach to your brother? If you see something like you don't like to your brother, the behavior, the way he's talking, the way he's thinking, feel free to talk, to teach him.
Let's go, Chris.
So, and then the same thing like God said, I will finish here in 2020. He said, I will be with you. You don't have to scare. He will be with you. So go share your word. Go talk to people around, and then God got authority. They say, I have authority. And then I will tell you something like a short about happened to me like a couple of weeks ago. I had a new job I had, like a delivery like a package for Amazon. It was hard for me. Like they gave me like a 160 trip. I was like doubting. And the same day in the morning, I heard about like a Matthew 7:7. Knock, and then knock, and then ask and knock, and God can open to you. And I was like, and then when I went to work, and then that day was the first time I fulfilled all my trip, like 160 tweet house. And because I asked him, I said, like, what's happening? I spent like 1 month and then a half, 2 weeks, I'm not doing anything. I'm not really completing my trip. I was like, God, I just said, well, I don't just do my own. Because sometimes we try to rely on our strength.
Come on,
but I'm saying that, God help me. I'm pushing yourself. I will say to help me for this one. I need to do something good today, and then I competed, and then both of the bosses, they was like amazing. They're like, oh my gosh, you did this, and then it was like, so it's just glory to God. So we need to glorify God, and I'm stopping here.
Let's go.
Okay, hello, I'm here in my pajamas. I couldn't come up with a title for this, so I'm just gonna call it Kara's Awesome Lesson.
Yeah! Taking notes.
All right, so go to 1 Corinthians 3.
Let's go.
Come on, Karen! Who's Alexis?
I'm there.
Stop.
Preach, please. Preach your word. Sis, ready to take notes.
All right, so I lied to you, it's actually Corinthians. Sorry, this app is not telling me where I am.
Let's go.
I think it's 4. 4. Yeah. Okay. Just to check with you all, it's called The Nature of True Apostleship. Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. So it's verse 3. Okay. It says, I care very little if I am judged by you or by any human court. Indeed, I do not even judge myself. My conscience is clear, but that does not make me innocent. It is the Lord who judges me. Therefore, judge nothing before the appointed time. Wait until the Lord comes. He will bring to light what is hidden in darkness and will expose the motives of the heart. At that time, each will receive their praise from God. All right. So basically, what Paul's saying here, he's saying he doesn't care about what other people think of him. He doesn't even judge himself for things. He knows that God is the only one who can judge you because he's the one who knows your heart. Just so for me personally, I worry about a lot about how people think of me, especially when I'm sharing. Yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh, do these people think I'm weird?
No, I think you're awesome. Why?
I often think that, even comparing myself to others, that I'm, inferior to people. But what Paul is basically telling us is that the only judgment we should worry about is God's.
Come on.
And that, we're all the same. We're all humans. We're all people. We shouldn't worry, about human judgment because God is the one who knows our, hearts.
Let's go.
He knows, the true us.
Yeah.
You know?
Come on. Let's go.
It just this verse particularly, because I've been reading Corinthians. This is something I recently picked up.
Let's go.
So it brought me a lot of comfort when I first read it. It made me realize I don't have to worry about what other people think about me. Other people's opinions of me, they don't matter because they don't know who I am really, in my heart. That's what God knows. And just to apply this to everybody, next time you find yourself ready to share with someone's faith and you worry what they might think of you, you might be intimidated by them or anything, don't worry about it. Remember the scripture. Yeah. God knows your heart.
Okay. Hello everyone. So I'm gonna be preaching from Luke. The story of sorry, I'm very tired. The birth of John and the birth of Jesus. And my title is the acceptance in faith versus doubt. So at times that when we're here as disciples and we're called to preach the word, and even trust in God instead of our own strength, we can try to think, okay, how am I supposed to trust in God? Well, my first thing is when I was reading, just in terms of faith, and where I can lack in is accepting it, accepting God's call for us. So that's actually what I'm starting is in Luke 1. Can you flip over there?
Come on, I'm there.
I'm gonna try to keep it to 5 minutes, so not get distracted. All right, here in Luke 1, we hear the story of Zechariah and Mary. Zechariah pretty much was very old, and he was very old, and him and his wife wanted to have children, but sadly they weren't able to until, bang, God put a promise right there. He's like, you're gonna be having a kid, right? And Zechariah was like, oh, but God, you can read here, it's Luke 1, verse 18. It says here, Zechariah asked the angel, how can I be sure of this? I am an old man and my wife is well along in years. You see here that Zechariah had asked this question. He asked it in skeptical unbelief. He was asking on skeptical unbelief and fearful faith. That's what I like to call Zechariah. And at times, to my shame, I've come to, when it comes, especially with being on campus and you're told to go and make disciples, but on a constant basis, right after class, you're there. You're on campus, you share your faith in class, outside of class, in your dorm. And for those who don't know, I'm living in the dorms right now. And it's being able to share my faith even when I'm when I can't believe that God really put me here to be a disciple. And let's actually look at how God had responded to Zechariah's unfaithful, his response. In verse 20, he says, "And now you will be silent and not able to speak until the day this happens, because you did not believe my words, which will come true at their appointed time." God literally silenced Zechariah's voice, right? And there are times when you're not having faith, and your faith unfaithfulness, and in your skeptical unbelief, what you can do is you can get silent. You don't want to share your faith with God or about God to other people that they can be around you at work, at school, in your dorm, amen, in your classes. This can be anywhere. But you see, when you're acting in unfaithfulness and unbelief, what the thing is, God will sometimes silence you. Sometimes you're not able to pray to God about how you're feeling or how you're, what your needs.
Yeah,
you can just be very silent. And what it is it's pride, honestly. If I'm being honest, I was very prideful. In your unbelief, you can be prideful and not trust that God's going to take care of you. That is all pride. But here, after looking at Zechariah, you get straight into the story of Mary and how she had responded with a different way of how to accept, but in faith, not in doubt. If you read here in verses 34 and Luke 1, it says here, "How will this be?" Mary asked the angel, "Since I am a virgin." So at this point, if you guys don't know the story about Mary, she was pretty much like a 14-year-old about to have a baby. And, an angel pretty much told her she was going to give birth to the Son of God. And you're sitting there, you're probably sitting there like, how is this going to be? Right? But you see, if I were Mary, I would have been like, "But God, how? Like, why? Why would you want that?" Things like, and I can ask God this myself. "God, you want me to go and evangelize this campus? But how? When? How will I do this? With what power will I do this in?" Right? But you see, Mary accepted the call and responded in affirmation of faith. She was humble, trusting, and full of hope. Right? And sometimes for me personally, I can get really like in my head and not trust that God has a plan for me. And looking back at Jeremiah 29, he's got plans to prosper you.
Let's go.
Yeah, not to harm you. Let's see. I'm like trying to look through my notes.
Come on, my dude.
And I had to look, after reading about these two accounts of like how Zechariah responded in doubt and how Mary responded in faith, I had to think, okay, what's going to help me in my doubtfulness when it comes to times like these? And there's just one practical I want to leave you guys with.
Let's go.
Is remembering these three scriptures, Ephesians 1:6 and Ephesians 1 verses 3-6, and it talks all about how God has blessed us, so we're blessed because of God, and how He has highly favored us. So we don't have to worry about what it is, but God has favor in us, right? And then the last one would be Matthew. I love how everyone had touched upon Matthew 28, where it talks about like the Great Commission, but that most importantly that Jesus is with us till the very end. So if you have been feeling like Zechariah, it's time to start acting like Mary and accept God's callings, blessings, promises in faith, not in doubt.